Welcome to our 14th Wonderspace journey, where we ask our guests to orbit around wonder and their stories of hopefulness. To share this view and perspective on the world this week, we welcome Chidi Achara, who lives in New York with his wife Esther and their 2 children. His career in advertising and photography has taken him around the world, working for some of the biggest brands and campaigns. He is also on the board of an amazing non-profit, as you will hear later in his story of hopefulness. In our weekly episodes, we ask the same 6 questions reflected on the timeline at the bottom of the screen. I start by asking Chidi which city or country he would like us to fly over and why.
So this is probably not going to sound extremely exotic, but I would probably choose London. I have spent most of my life in London. However, I moved to the US about 12 years ago, and I haven't had a chance to visit London much, but so many of my memories are deeply embedded in the fabric of that city, the neighborhoods, the flavors, the culture, the multicultural mix. And honestly, even though I love living in New York, I think my heart is always somewhat in London, and therefore that would be a place I would definitely want to fly over and enjoy. So my life story so far, I was very fortunate enough to be born in the Bahamas in the Caribbean. I've lived in 4 different countries, but most of my life has been spent in the UK, but more recently in New York. I was really fortunate to start working for a major advertising agency in London called BBH. At a very young age, I was heading up the Levi's advertising account when that was one of the most awarded and celebrated campaigns in the world at the time. After about 10 years or so in advertising, I pivoted to photography and really just wanted to focus on a more personal, creative journey. And that took me through for another 8 to 10 years, at which point I moved to New York and was able to pivot back into advertising, and then eventually started working in-house for Nike, overseeing a shoe brand that they had at the time called Cole Haan as creative director. And at the moment, I have moved into the tech space, and I'm working with a company called Stash, which is an American digital platform, which is really trying to help everyday working middle Americans invest and save better for the future. So it's an investment platform. And it's an amazing opportunity because I'm able to use all of the training and the skills and the experience and the gifts that I've been able to acquire over the years in advertising and branding, and apply that to a very missionally driven company. The sum total of my life has just been the love and the support and the encouragement that's been poured into me by incredible people that has allowed me to get to a place in life where I can use my creativity and my creative vision and skills to really help lift up communities and businesses and pour goodness into people's lives as much as I can. My place of reset and recharge is being near the ocean. I grew up about 10 minutes away from the sea, and whenever I want to escape from the hectic nature of cities, I love to retreat back to the ocean. The sense of space, the sky, the sounds, the scent, it allows me to think more creatively. It empowers me to think more freely, and it brings a certain peace to my soul and my spirit that often can be somewhat elusive within the madness of city life. So as much as I love cities, my ultimate reset is to spend time near the ocean, either alone or with loved ones. The wonder of the natural world that excites me the most is probably tropical rainforests. Like, I've never been to a true tropical rainforest, but there's something about that beautiful aspect of nature that predates humankind, that feels primordial, that feels like a totally immersive sensorial experience, that feels totally detached from what we built up as a civilization, that would be a dream for me, to spend time in, let's say, the Brazilian rainforest and really fully encase myself in the raw natural beauty of nature in a way that's disconnected from everyday life. My story of hopefulness for a nonprofit or a personal organization that's doing great for the world, I think really centers around an organization called Charity Water. Charity Water is a nonprofit that's based in New York City, but operates around the world. It was founded about 14 years ago by an incredible visionary entrepreneur called Scott Harrison, who's also a close friend of mine. And I've had the privilege of sitting on their board more recently, but I've been a fan and a supporter since their inception. And Charity Water essentially exists to solve for the clean water crisis around the world. The fact that 1 out of 10 human beings on Earth do not have easy, regular access to clean water. And we know that that has significantly negative effects on health, on education, on economic development. And over the last 14 years, Charity Water has succeeded in raising $500 million from scratch and has funded almost 60,000 water projects that has positively impacted 11 million people around the world, mostly in Africa and Asia. And what's amazing and special about Charity Water is that they are committed to full transparency, not just in terms of their fundraising and allocation of funds, but also tracking the progress of projects months, years down the line to ensure that benefit is still being delivered to those communities. And every single dollar that is given by the general public, all of that money, 100% of it, goes to fund the actual water projects themselves and isn't used for overhead or administration. And that's pretty unique in the world of nonprofits. So, I think Scott, his team, all of the donors over the years have done an incredible job of basically inciting a spirit of generosity. Because I think that the vision of Charity Water is not just to deliver water projects, which is obviously fundamentally and critically important, but use that as a means to inspire everyday people around the world to think about how they can best serve their neighbors and those among us who are weak and marginalized and vulnerable and suffering. So I think Scott's vision is very much, how can I ignite a spirit of generosity that then becomes viral and empowers people to think, what can they do to actually help improve the human condition? The insight that I would most like to share is that I think that 2020 has been a tremendously traumatic and in many ways destructive year. But I also think that it gives us a moment to sort of pause, step back from the furnace and ask some fundamental questions about what it means to be a human and what it means to live in a community and society. And I would love to see us get to a place where we are less divided by ideology and politics and more united by a common sense of what it means to be a human being, and try and find more common ground that can actually serve as a unifying force that helps us emerge from these current crises with greater humility, greater compassion, and a greater sense of empathy. And hopefully this sort of toxic shock that's taken place to all of our international systems can trigger a new way of relating and finding common ground instead of trying to divide it along political, partisan, or ideological lines.
You can find out more about the work of Charity Water at charitywater.org. Amongst these most challenging of times, we believe that wonder through nature and music and art, together with stories of hopefulness from business with purpose, impact investment and non-profits, all have the potential to lift our eyes and bring a different kind of perspective. Alongside these weekly editions, we've created a platform where everyone has the opportunity to share their wonders and stories of hopefulness. You can join this community at ourwonder.space. Thank you to Chidi for joining us in this virtual window seat this week. I leave you with the last few minutes of a film from Charity Water called The Spring, which has been seen by 9 million people. This film has inspired a global movement of people united in a vision of ending the water crisis in our lifetime.
In the beginning, there was water, always changing and bringing new life wherever it goes. It did for me and for so many others in very real ways. Even though I didn't grow up to be a doctor, I'm thankful that my childhood gave me awareness of the importance of health, of life. Dr. Gary is still on that ship, helping people every single day. My mom is still here too, fighting for her health. My son knows and loves her well. So will my daughter. Now I know the world will change by the time my children reach my age. But I believe there are only a few times in each of our lives that we get to witness a truly historic global moment. And giving clean water to the entire planet will be one of those moments. I invite you to be a part of this.
We've been able to help more than 11 million people get clean water, but we want to do so much more. We want to go faster and help more people.
So we're introducing a new way to do just that. It's called The Spring. We're building a community of givers so generous and constant, the world has never seen anything like it before. People who are willing to give not just once, but who will stick with us month in and month out, faithfully fighting for change. We subscribe to things every month: cable internet, magazines, movies, and music. We're loyal to these things because they benefit our lives. But the spring benefits other people's lives.
It costs only $40 to give one person clean water.
Some of you can give that every month. Some of you can give more, some of you less. But whatever you can give, 100% goes directly to clean water, and we'll keep showing you where your money goes and the lives that you're changing. Until the day we can finally say that no one on earth will die from dirty water.
So we realize people will tell us this can't be done, but we think, man, if there's ever a time in the world when this is possible, it's certainly today, where people are really looking to give, they're looking to make an impact.
We know how to end the water crisis in our lifetime, and with your help, we will. Join the spring today.